such a good one, Dad. I
I
love
know.
that
Yeah,
one. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Faith Family Focus. I am Faith Suggs, one of your co-hosts, former Duke women's basketball graduate, and this wonderful man next to me is my father, Schaefer Suggs, former NFL player with the New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals. I have to let you guys know I will have a fire alarm going in and out right now for safety reasons at my building in New York, so I will be muting myself in and out. Just give you guys a heads up. But we welcome you guys back to this wonderful Wednesday show. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest for today. Oh, there I go, Dad. Take away.
keep going. This is Faith Family Focus. We use our strength and our experience to strengthen the family core. Again, Faith, her building has a fire alarm that will be intermittently coming throughout the show, and she'll just mute. But we're happy to have you back. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. The weather's breaking. We have a lot of snow that's melting here. I'm sure, Faith, the same thing is happening with you over there. So I'm really looking forward to the beginning of spring. I did get my vaccine on Friday. I think I mentioned that on Monday, so I'm very happy about that. And I think today we also got the announcement that Johnson was also been approved the one-shot dose. So that's a really positive thing. So hopefully by the middle of the summer, we will have a lot of people vaccinated, begin to see things coming back to normal. You can find us on YouTube for those who, I think we're on our 103rd episode. You can find us on the YouTube channel. You can find us on E360 TV. You can find us on Facebook Live. Of course, E360 TV streams out to all the major platforms, including Amazon Fire and also Apple TV, along with the other ones. So, Faith, are you back yet?
Well done, Dad. It's gonna be like every 5 minutes, so I'm in and out, but
Okay.
I come in great spurts. Great job with the announcements, Dad, today. Yes, it is. Snow is melting a little bit over here. Prayers, I guess, prayers to Tiger Woods after a pretty
Yeah.
rough car accident yesterday.
Yeah.
Hopefully, um, nobody else was injured. Hopefully, he bounces back. But yeah, a lot of great things happening over here. We got 2 games to go in our season. Praise Jesus, hallelujah. Um, yes, like you said, Johnson vaccine is pretty exciting. A one-shot thing that's going to be crazy change for a lot of people, but also those who probably don't have accessibility to it or have to work. So that'll be helpful because it's a lot more courteous
Yeah,
and
the one shot be nice, Faith. One
right.
shot's really
Think
nice.
about it. Yeah, think about it. Right now in New York City, minorities are struggling to get
Mhm.
vaccinated. One, because they work during the day, right? They can't afford to not be at work. And so now this one shot is making it a lot more easier on their schedules as well. So now we're
Right.
getting it a lot easier for a lot of people to not just get their one shot, but that second shot is hard to get too. So
Right.
big time way to bring that up as well. Just wanted to share this. We had a wonderful guest in Coach P. McCauley, my former coach at Duke. She released her book, Secret Warrior, a compelling memoir following her second book, following her journey with mental health, her fight against melanoma, and other health things that she fought, but also from a couple personal stories with us. So I had a moment in the book. My former teammate, Kyra Lambert, also on the show, had a go, and my boss, Renee Haynes, also has a moment in the book. So a lot of us are in the book. It is on Amazon, Secret Warrior. Check it out. Amazing, amazing. Robert Roberts has endorsed it on Good Morning America. Mike Krzyzewski, of course, Nick Saban. If you haven't seen it, get it right now. It's on Amazon, Secret Warrior by Joanne P. McCauley. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you got a chance to read some of the. I think our family has about 3 or 4 pages. I was moved by what I heard, and that's really kind of neat. So
Right.
yeah.
No, it is great, and it's a beautiful cover. The thing I worked with her in the marketing stuff, getting it through and stuff. So
Hmm.
I'm excited for it. She's with a glowing ball. That was a big thing that she wanted to do. So shout out to Coach P, coaching the world now, working with mental health. So very exciting.
Yeah. So as we venture into our 103rd episode, I know we just got done our series on Black History. Black History, we navigated through Black comedy. We navigated through Black movies with Kelvin Wilmot, our second cousin, fantastic show. And then we just recently had a show on the history of Black history of religion. And it was just our way of bringing awareness and bringing honor to Black History Month. We're going to shift. We decided we're going to shift back into our Making Another Champion series, right? Bringing on and bringing us back to that portion of our lives right after we lost mommy, and we began to get immediately into the recruiting process. And we thought that that would be a good part of our story to tell right after our loss, because that kind of took over our lives. And so we are bringing on some very special people that were part of that journey. And one of those people is Annie Byrne. And she, I met her for the first time, Faith. I was working for the Department of Commerce, and one of the schools that I had was Marian Catholic. And when I talked to her yesterday, hold on to that picture right there. The first time I had a chance to really meet her or see her was she was coaching against your coach, Coach Tony, with the Raiders. And I admire how tenacious she was. I admire who she was, how strategic she was. Extremely impressed. So when I did meet her, unbelievable handshake. Yes, sir. No, sir. This was an amazing young lady. And of course, your name came up because you were only in the 8th grade. And she made it known that she would love to have Faith Suggs on her team. And so we began to build a really great relationship. And actually, knowing that we probably wouldn't go to Marian Catholic, I had a chance to speak with her on a couple of occasions about perspectives and about the journey. And she was just gracious. And of course, he has coached and mentored a lot of girls that you grew up with. There's Tanaya Page. There is with the Penn State, the Kawhi Bradley, who you played against at Pittsburgh, and then there's let me see, who's the third one?
Jarrell's right there.
Jarrell, yeah, the 3-point artist, yeah. Matthews. And all three of those girls, I remember them when they were, 8, 9, 10 years old. And of course, Andy's had a history of putting D1 players in college, and just amazed. So she will be on shortly. But again, we want to continue that journey, go back, because a lot of schools, a lot of AA programs are getting back to basketball. And
Right.
Andy has a huge facility down the south side, the Southland facility that she's the general manager of, and she's having an opportunity to, after retiring from coaching, she's having an opportunity to make an impact in a different way of creating the right kind of culture to develop and continue to mentor girls. A lot of those girls that she coached are coming back to help her. So, and then of course, she's also the mother of 2 beautiful people. Put the picture of her family back up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's the picture. So 2 beautiful young ladies and her husband, and she's doing multiple duties there. And when I was speaking with her, part of our conversation was maybe Faith can help me coach my girls, or help me with my girls. And I kind of understood that, because at some point in time, you have to become the parent and not the coach. It's kind of hard to continue to coach your own kids, as you well know. You and I had to come to the final moment where I'm no longer your coach, and kind of pass you on to. And that was in that 8th grade. You remember that time? It was in 8th grade, right?
Yeah, that was a big transition. I think that's where you see a lot of parents. It's very interesting because our experience probably was different than Devin's, because Devin had a little more free range, but also it was 2 different sports. Devin was a second child, so me and you definitely had more of a coaching relationship, and we got to bond a lot more over sports and stuff longer than probably Devin. Devin was probably released to other coaches earlier on, right? And I think that's probably something you just learned through your experience with me. Like the Matt Millers, the private trainers, getting an outside coach to kind of step in, give a different perspective. One, because it's great for your relationship with your kid, but also because it's just, better to have your kid have someone who, doesn't love you as much and sees you as the greatest person in the world, and they can kind of give you honest opinion. So I think that transition was probably around 8th grade, 9th grade for sure.
What do you remember about Coach Annie? I know that you played against her in your sophomore year, and you got a chance to play against Mary Catholic your senior year, but I don't think she was coaching. So
I was young. Honestly, Dad, I can't remember anything from that time period, but I do remember that it was very rare for us to have. I had a woman coach, right, first 2 years, but it was very rare to see a lot of women coaches be extremely successful at that time. I mean, Tony was on a reign in the 4A division, and then obviously Marian Catholic was running with the 3A division. There really wasn't much competition in her division because they were just so great. I remember that. But I remember the discussion, me and you had to decide between schools, and I think that we just didn't. It's so funny, we just didn't think about moving out there, and then eventually we ended up having to move out there because of going to Flossmoor right down the street, a 5-minute drive. But no, that's what I mean. I remember that clearly, clear as day. Is having to. We played against them how many times? What? I played against them twice in my career, probably.
Yeah.
Once when I was at East, and once for the to get the super sectionals.
Yeah. Which is probably one of the most memorable games of your career, basketball career. I do remember your sophomore year. I mean, I thought you were well, that game was a different game.
Yeah.
That was a different
So I think Annie is here. I just think that maybe her camera is a little funny. So let's see if she has her mic on. Annie, do you have your mic ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
I knew it.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
I didn't make it to the office. I apologize after I dropped off the kids this morning.
Oh, we understand that world.
I'm going to be like Faith and have my cup of coffee with you guys.
Well, we got to get you a Sucks mug, so you're not that far away.
That would be great. Yeah, mine just says woke there.
That's also good.
So, Annie, just so you know, Faith is in Brooklyn in her apartment, and they are having a fire alarm, intermittent fire alarm. So, like anything else. So, once in a while, we may have to, we'll just have to call it audible, call it a different, go from man to man to press. So,
That's
so
right.
you know.
No worries, right? There's always something in the real world. We understand that.
Right?
Yeah, so, New York can throw something at you every day.
Chicago, baby. Same way.
But Annie, a little bit of a background. So we're so thankful that you're joining us. We like to have this Making of a Champion series because our experience with youth sports, people ask us all the time kind of how to navigate it, mostly coming from parents. And so we want to kind of dedicate shows to getting great guests to kind of walk us through from a different perspective, kind of youth sports, kind of coaching, kind of, your advice towards how to raise their kids within this crazy evolving way of life, which we call youth sports. So I'm really glad you're joining us because, one, you've seen me most of my career, but also we've been able to kind of have witness to your career and kind of the change, and especially Dad, because you're on Facebook, Dad, so you see everything. But we are really excited to have you on to kind of give your perspective on this. And we got a bunch of great questions I know we sent over to you last night. And the first one we kind of dive into is kind of identifying kids' dreams, right? Them figuring out which sport they like, how to kind of engage it for themselves.
You driving? Can I ask for 30?
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
30. I just want to say thank you so much for having me today. This means a lot to me. I've admired your father for quite a while. And he told me the first time we met, I think I stopped him and told him the first time we met because I can remember it. And I watched you through your whole career. Unfortunately, we didn't get to play the 1 year against each other. And then I was not there anymore, but to see your success and to see your transformation as just an amazing, astonishing, the sky is the limit for you as a young lady. I mean, you talk about someone like me, I think we need more people like you. So I just want to make sure that I put that out there and more people like your dad that just see the world for what it is and see people for who they are. And I really just can't thank you guys enough for the show, the topics you cover in general, and again for having me. So thank you so much, sincerely. You guys are great people.
Thank you for tooting our horn. We appreciate that. That's why he's beaming over there. He is like the super dad, but he's so happy right
He's
now.
amazing. He's amazing. You're gonna ask me for advice. I'm gonna go to him, and I'll return it to you.
Oh, he's done it. He's done it twice. It's funny because my brother and
Too.
my brother crack up all the time talking about like our stories and stuff from his experiences, and our experiences are so different, right? Like completely two situations. One because gender wise, one because of sport wise, but also because he's the second child. So it's always funny to see how even he was learning. Like, Dad, you were learning through each child from your own mistakes, from your own experiences, and probably from other people. Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. There's no playbook for it. And again, when we started our journey, and we transitioned into this making of the campus series, it was us kind of revisiting that, navigating that part of our life, because it was the first part of our life that we had to navigate after losing mom. And
Yeah.
you're eighth grade going into the ninth grade. We're trying to figure out where you're going to go to high school, and then the recruiting process started. So, and I had to humble myself, and I scare parents. You kind of had to get out of your own way and ask questions and humble yourself. And I do remember talking to Andy. I remember talking to a lot of different coaches about I'm raising a 14-year-old girl, and that was a challenge in itself. But then, even though I played football and basketball in college and played professional, it doesn't necessarily transition into being, and understanding the world that you were thought to navigate into. So I did. I learned along the way, and I learned a lot. So, and then of course, by the time Devin, it was completely different because you got social media, you got Twitter, you got all those different dynamics. But yes, it was different, and I appreciate Annie for having those conversations because I was curious because I was getting pulled from all different directions. And
Inspiring to watch, though.
yeah,
To see other people do it, shows you as a younger adult that no matter what you encounter in life, if you stick together and you quit, because you never really talked to me much about her athletic ability. You more talked to me about her needs as a female, her needs, and her challenges that she was currently facing, what you desired to have around her, those sort of issues. And so I think that's really what attracted me to you and to Faith even more than obviously, how athletically inclined she was. Um, but that's just, I don't know. It's interesting. You go around to teach people and see people are teaching you all the time.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny because I remember we had to decide which school to go to, and it's what Marian Catholic was home of Flossmoor to stay home at Plainfield East, and we eventually transitioned over to home of Flossmoor eventually. But it's funny because in my top three schools for college, all head coaches were women, and all head coaches were strong, very successful women in Stanford, Michigan, and Duke. And I really looked back on that the other day because I was talking with one of my assistant coaches before a game, and I was like, now that I'm realizing all of the coaches I was deciding on were women, right? And even Notre Dame was Muffin McGraw, and so it was funny that I just gravitated towards that during. Gravitated towards that.
We're Billy Muffet, Carol Elwood. I was there. Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. I am excited for Notre Dame right now with Neil Ivey and stuff. But it is funny seeing that transition happen. Like I made that, I gravitated towards that. Dad, like we didn't put that on the list. The woman coach wasn't something that we were like leaning towards. It was just something that naturally happened. And I also think that a lot of the top schools just had women coaches, and I think that helped as well. For sure. And it's just funny that happened, Dad. I don't know if you ever thought about that. Maybe you knew it was happening, but I didn't have any male coaches in any of my top. You know what I mean? Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I think you were just done with me coaching you.
Probably did. You probably pushed me over the edge. It was like, forget men. Go towards the women coaches. Probably. But it's funny how that happened, and I don't know what it was, but maybe I just needed to experience a more experience with men, and obviously Tony is family with us, and so that was probably easier. But it's funny that I kind of related more with that, and how that
Right.
I really enjoy like having women around me and having women coaches and seeing that. It's just as you get older, you see how more important it is for the next generation to kind of see that stuff.
Yeah. And what advice would you give parents? And, obviously, we'll talk a little bit about your transition from being a coach to being a business owner or business leader. But what advice, the conversation we have, and what advice do you give parents that are navigating through that as far as expectations? And because as you all know, we all have this this their kids, the best kids to slice bread. What advice do you give kids or parents that are navigating through this whole grief process?
Well, we all relate back to our own experiences, right?
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of different families, great families, but just different, different backgrounds, different this, different that. And I've seen so many of them be so successful in so many ways, not just on the field, but off the court. And my dad played football actually for the University of Hawaii, and my uncle played for Northern. And my little sister played for Northern. She played for Carolina. I love I say. But he never. I have a little brother too. I always keep him out. My little sister. But he never. I was actually an Irish dancer all my life. If you've ever seen like Water Dance, River Dance, or any of those sort of things, but sort of like serious competition. And I chose basketball, and I just did my personal experience first. My junior year of high school, we would really have that opportunity that we had, or my little sister had, or those younger generations had. We were dreaming of those possibilities, right, at that time. And it was just whatever I wanted. He never forced me to do anything. He never, put demands on me to get a college scholarship. That was more me. And wanting to do that myself, just that's what I wanted to be able to earn myself. So I just feel like parents make up their mind of what they want their kid to be, and they want their kid to be something wonderful so that they've done something wonderful. And if you just raise a great human being, you've done something wonderful. So stop living vicariously through your kids. Stop living vicariously through your kids. Honestly, it disgusts me. I'm very blunt, so I apologize, but it does. I've seen so many people, and I've had parents that honestly didn't get caught up in the recruiting process, and those kids were the most successful. The parents who walk around telling everybody that their kids are being recruited by XYZ, it's not appealing, and it's not appealing to coaches.
Right.
They're looking at the family. They're looking at how easy are you going to be with to become a part of our team and contribute to our team consistently in a very favorable way. So, in short, I would just say back off. Set your kids up to be successful, right? I mean, that's what we're all trying to do, but on the court and off the court, and incorporate more things into their lives. Let them work a job or two. They don't need to be 24 and they've never worked a job or two, just different things that really keep them well-rounded. I think it's an important element. I know we all have to be so channeled into our craft, if you will, and what we're trying to aspire to do. And, we all are determined and passionate, so we're going to work very hard. But we're talking about, I met some of the best players I had in 7th grade or younger. And it was them that worked that hard. It was them that put in the hours. It was them that never wanted to leave the gym. It wasn't the parents. It was just their support. So you can push all you want, but my opinion as a coach was I've lived my dream, and I want to help you establish yours. So I wish parents would look at it kind of more like that versus you're going to be this because I want you to be that.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Have you noticed that more in women or in young men where that's something that happens?
My experience base is probably more on the women's side. So that's probably not the best question for me to answer. But I do have a great relationship with people that, coach coach guys, and I really still feel like it's more on the women's side, really, because guys have so much of a higher level of competition to compete against, just in terms of above the rim and the way they play and things of that nature. Um, yeah, I see it all the time on the female side, particularly in high school. And it's just, well, this person's getting this scholarship. Why is it my kid getting looked at? Like this kid's getting looked at. Like, stop comparing your kid. What environment do they want to be in? Do they want to be in a big school? Do they want to be in a little school? What type of academic environment are they going to be successful in? What type of social environment are they going to be successful in? This is also an environment that's going to foster friendships for the rest of your life, and morals and values and things you're always going to treasure. So hopefully people that have really had a good experience at college and being a student athlete and being that lucky to not have to pay back student loans, that should be your main goal. Yes. Get your education for free while you're doing something you absolutely love and you're going to continue to learn from.
Yes. One thing I wanted to share with our viewers, and I wanted to give honor and prayers to Jasmine Matthews. You have a shirt. Why don't you share that story? Faith, you have her picture, and can you kind of just really speak to her and pray over her because she is battling MS. And wonderful family. I met them all.
She's fighting.
Yes.
She'll be back.
Yeah.
There's my baby. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my baby. Yeah. What a wonderful, wonderful young lady.
Yes. So as part of the journey of being able to be a part of, the ups and downs of the lives, and for them to be able to, I know you have embraced a lot of your girls that come back to you, and all great coaches somehow face your relationship with Coach P. Coach Annie, Coach P has a book out, and he just released it, and Faith was reading about 3 or 4 pages of her book about our family. So it's just so nice to be a part of. You become family. You become family, and
you should. For how much time you spend together, for how much you really give to each other, you should. And I think for a coach, that's the most rewarding thing in the world, because coaches are probably one of the most selfless people out there. Like, people think, oh, you're just coaching. Oh, you're making so much money. No, that's not the case. I mean, I don't know. I think coaches are one of the most selfless people.
Without a doubt.
Well, there's just so much sacrifice that goes into it, right? Like, there's so many hours that people don't notice. It is not a 9-to-5 job, and that's why when people always ask, like, why girls transition so quickly into maybe working in college basketball, because it's just easier for them to kind of get back to that same schedule they were once in. But it's not easy, right? Like, coaching is not easy at all. It's a major time grab. It's a major sacrifice for your life and your personal life. And so you have to really love doing it. And so because you love doing it, you love the kids you work with, right? You love the people you work with. And it's just kind of something that kind of comes with it. And that's what I think is so great about, one, your relationship with the Matthews, with all of your girls, but also just the relationships Dad and I have with everybody, right? And the people you meet along the way. That's kind of like what sports does for you.
It should. Right, absolutely should. I think that's one of the most crushing things for coaches. You're in a relationship with somebody for X amount of years, and because someone else got a scholarship or someone else was chose for an all tournament team or an all area team, let's say by even the paper that you have nothing to do with, they kind of disown you and push you to the side. And it's hard to accept that, because it's like, I didn't do that, and I still absolutely love your child, and I still absolutely love you. So what am I left to do, besides obviously be upset? And that's not something you can necessarily control, right? I mean, that's in their control. So I'd say that's one of the hardest things too, because no matter what happens, you always love your kids. Mm-hmm. You always love your kids. I could see a kid that I haven't seen in 10 years. And if I saw him, I promise you, I'm going up and giving him a hug. And to see some of your kids be so successful, even like Tanisha Mack, that I've had the pleasure of knowing since she was 14. Like, I'm so proud of her. You know, she's the assistant athletic director and head coach at Governor State right now, and she's done a fantastic job. And she did everything on her own. I can remember kicking her out of the gym at 14. You know, she had kind of met her match with me, and she'll tell you that. And now when I hear her yelling at her kids, I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, how did I yell at you? Like, you kind of scare me now, you know? So like, to see kids, and she earned every bit. Nobody did anything for her. She was extremely academic, straight A's, and was extremely just determined, and is still that way. You know, I think those traits are things that you carry with you through life. And it's so amazing just to see these young ladies really get to where they want to be.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny because you really do watch kids grow, right? Through, and because life happens like that, right? And especially those 8 years from high school to college, you become a different person each year, but you're a completely different person from year 1 to year 8. And it's funny, like a lot of people I tell when they come in their freshman year, they're like, God, I think coach hates me. I think that like it's not my place. I said, senior year is a different world. I'm trying to explain to you like who you are at senior year. 1, you won't take things as personally. 2, they'll trust you. Or it's going to be a completely different relationship, but don't give up on that relationship. And I tell people all the time, obviously I've had a lot of friends transfer schools and switch out, and they've had great experiences with their new coaches, but I was one that stuck for 4 years with Coach P, and Coach P was like different. She was, and but at the end of the day, she was one of like the greatest women to experience ever, just because she had been through so much and she had met so many great players. And you don't get those relationships every day, and that's why I'm so grateful. You know what I mean? Like, you stick by stuff, you stick with people, because relationships have up and downs, and coaching relationships have up and downs. There's not
You get that yourself?
Yeah.
Yourself?
Yeah.
It's unique. You think it's not unique, but it is. A lot of people are like, this is done, I'm out of here. Where's the next best thing? Where's the next best thing? The grass is greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you don't understand sometimes, I think, when you do these iPods, or I just think it's amazing sometimes what your insight offers people. You know, even at your age, I mean, you really have such a great insight on things, and to stick with it for 4 years, most kids don't. Most kids don't even stick with the same high school for 4 years, much less college, you know. And you meet what happens in a job. Like, you can't go to a job and you meet somebody that you don't like, or you have a bad day, and oh, that's it, I'm transferring, or I'm going to find another job. Like, it doesn't work like that in real life.
Right.
You know, so like, I don't know. I just want to give you major props for that, because you have to, you know, earn your own, and you have to, you know, work your way up as a freshman. And a lot of people want that instant gratification, right? You recruited me, you said I was going to be a stud, I want to play right now, and I want to play 40 minutes. No, buddy. You know, it's just like getting a new job. You're at the bottom of the totem pole, and work your way up. And there's nothing wrong. I think it teaches you so much to have to work your way up.
Mm-hmm.
So much to have to work your way up.
Right.
I would say, as a parent, going into after her freshman year, I was like, okay, why are you not playing? Why are you not playing? You know, so I was that parent, because I was a parent that would never call a coach, because I was a coach. But it took me almost 2 years to realize, okay, I get it. I get her value to the team. I get that this is bigger than basketball. You know, I get that she's learning phenomenal leadership. She has found her role. You know, some of the things that Coach Tony teaches his girls is you have to find a role, not how many points you get. You got to find a place where you can fit, where you're invaluable. And I began to see that as a parent, as a former professional athlete. I transformed as a parent to be able to see that. And those are the kind of things that I like to share back with parents. That is bigger than the sports. It's bigger than scoring 3-point shots. It's bigger than that. And for her to have that journey, those 4 years, and spend those 4 years with Coach, I cannot begin. I know Mom is smiling up above, because I cannot begin to thank her for the different gifts of faith that she received as a result of her growth over those 4 years, growth in high school. So as a parent, I see it too.
Yeah, you tried to get me out of there all the way up to year 3. I mean, and I kept telling you, like, well, you didn't visit. Here's the thing: you didn't visit Duke a lot either. You and Devin didn't visit a lot, And that wasn't a bad thing for me. I enjoyed that. You know what I mean? Like I enjoyed the independence, because sometimes what people don't realize is your family can be enabling. As beautiful and wonderful as they are, it can be an enabling situation. You never really figure yourself out within what those 4 years can be. And I remember all the way up to year 3, you were like, okay, like what about Michigan? What about this? What about? And I was like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like I'm already 3 years into a $79,000 tuition a year degree. I mean, you don't get that anywhere else, right? And then that year, we went to the Sweet 16, and I started in the Sweet 16 against Connecticut to get to the Elite Eight. I mean, you know what I mean? That's just what happens. And so at the end of the day, no, not everyone is strong enough to be able to be like, no, this is what I want to do. But it was something that, like, you as a parent, not being in the experience with me, it's hard for you to kind of understand, like, why not? You know what I mean? Because you just can't be there. And so that's why it's so important for kids to kind of know what they want and know who they want to be.
Yeah. That mental toughness, that's what I'm talking about. I got to give you props for it. I'm sorry, you know?
Well, she taught me a lot.
She was another kid that I think had just such a good head on her shoulders and thought with her own head, no matter what people told her. And I've always admired that about her.
Yeah.
I just give you major props, honestly.
Thank you.
With your own brain and making your own decisions, and look where it's led you today. I mean, you know, I look forward to seeing you again soon.
I do. Once all this is over, I got to come back more often. I'm trying to get. We don't recruit enough in the Chicagoland area, and I'm starting to get a little upset about that over here. I got all these kids from Ohio coming in. They're always like, man, what's wrong with these kids? And I was like, you got to get a Chicago kid. It's just tough for kids. It's just what it is. So, yeah, I got to start coming back more often. But
one thing I wanted to say, though, too, is don't forget about Corey Irvin. You know, you talk about strong females, a strong mom, a strong wife, one of the best coaches in Illinois. One of the best records. I mean, and they're very genuine people.
Oh, yes.
I kept going after them and kept coming up to them, kept getting my butt kicked. And now that I'm not in basketball, we have a great relationship together, you know, and she's coaching for, she followed in, you know, my hero's footsteps at St. Xavier, and she was coach of the year last year in her first year. You know, so I mean, you know, I'm a major person for pushing people up and promoting women. You know, we shouldn't be in competition with each other. We should be lifting each other up.
I love that.
Just throw someone else in there that I really think is one of the best around.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy and love and admire. Yeah. So, you know.
And Corey kept beating Tony's butt too.
Every
year, I remember. I think all my favorite high school games were watching like those 4 overtime games, those 3 overtime games, right? Like great Illinois.
Yeah, that was some serious sailing in Chicago.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I remember my favorite Corey story is that Corey, they gave her a technical and she was supposed to sit after that first technical, and she moved her chair to the sideline so that you could see her. You know what I mean? Like I'm the head coach. And till that was the 3rd place game, right? They had just lost to Bolingbrook. That was the 3rd place game, and she was still like. I remember looking to that. I was like, man, that has to be a hard game to play in to have to go for 3rd, and then I had to do it. And I was like, man, that's a hard game to do.
We won 3rd in 2007, maybe, in overtime as well downstate. And that was a hard game. Overtime too.
That's a hard game.
We weren't 3A, we were 4A, just so you know, too. So,
yeah.
Oh, she put you at 3A, see that, Eddie?
They were 4A?
4A.
Maybe? Yeah, we were right up there with you.
You're right, because we played you guys.
We weren't at your level yet. We just weren't at your level yet. We just had to bring Marion up. They had already, like, Shannon and all the wonderful kids that she had from Lacey, Missy Mazzaro, my sister, and Portia throw in there, you know, Stephanie Grubasek, you know, all those people. But we had to keep working, right? They set the standard, and then so my goal was to continue to keep raising the bar for them, you know, and showing them what they could do. So it took us a while. We were 4A, just took us a minute.
Yeah, I forgot Missy played at Marion. That's so funny. Like 3 degrees of separation,
baby. Yeah. You got Keisha Newell, who's at Mother McCauley. There's another wonderful young, strong woman. I mean, I don't think you get with each mill, you know. I mean, I can go on and on, you know. But it's amazing just to have these people in your life, right? In some way, our paths have crossed, and even though our lives have all changed, if any of us need each other at any point in time, we can come together and collaborate and be there for each other, you know.
But that's what's so beautiful about the women's side. At the end of the day, it's just it's a different environment, and I always try to explain that to people. It is a hard space to coach in, just because there's so much pushback. And that's one of the questions I want to ask you is, what kind of pushback did you get as being a woman coach, especially in Illinois State? I mean, it's not easy. The reps aren't great; they're not. And then unfortunately, there's a lot of, and my dad knows, I talk about this time. There's a lot of men who are coaching who, and I love Tony to death. I think that there should be a lot more opportunities for women to be in coaches spaces so that they can coach young women. I think that that's an opportunity for young women to start their career, right? And so how was that kind of dynamic when you were coaching?
I probably plead the fifth to this one. What I'm talking about, but I became Shannon was wonderful enough to allow me to follow in her footsteps, and I was 24 at the time, so I really chalk it up to being naive, not understanding that everybody's watching you at all times and their perspective on you, what they've heard about you. And then they literally take all those things and twist them. And so I really don't think coaching and games, I mean, refs are humans just like we are, you know? So if you treat them with respect, it's just kind of like earning your way, right? So I had to earn my way onto the scene. So I didn't exactly do that probably the best way possible, but I didn't want to necessarily be gentle about it. I just wanted to say I'm here and I'm here to do my job, and this is how I do my job, whether you like it or not. But I did always try to treat them with respect. But when you're in the heat of the moment and you're fighting for your kids, you know, that's obviously personal. And, you know, I've been on the front page of the paper for just moving my team from the Hillcrest tournament to the Montini tournament to go with Jason Nichols, who I'm still very good friends with. They just moved up in Morton College to number 12 in JUCO. And then he's got Kevin McNamara with him too. You know, so, but then again, that's Tony Brannick at the Southtown, and now Tony and I are very close. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I could call him right now, and if I needed something, he'd help me with it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just part of the process. Right. It really is. You know, in any job, I just didn't realize how jealous people were. I certainly did not realize how vindictive people were. And I certainly didn't realize ulterior motives. Mm-hmm. So identifying those three things, I would love to at 40, try to coach again. Like you say, it's so hard. To me, it's like the best job in the world. I absolutely love it. But I have my own kids, and I have to make sure that I give them more than I give my kids that I'm coaching. So that's, you know, a big part of stepping away. But, you know, I still get to see my kids all the time. They train at our facility. They come up and worked for me at the facility when we reopened in June. So many of them came back and helped work for me. And I mean, that's like one of the best rewards you could possibly get as a coach, when you really need them, you know, and they come through for you, and you really didn't even have to ask, you know, and they see the impact you've had on them. I wish I would have continued to coach to be able to see that and see them have families. And now, I mean, I can see that now, their families, their kids, them growing up, them going overseas and playing. But I would just chalk it up to being naive at 24, and people knowing that and taking advantage of that, instead of helping me become the best that I could be. You know, people really try to take advantage of that, and that's okay, you know, because I learned so much from it and I apply it to every day.
Right.
And I mean, Dad, you and I have witnessed that with Coach P, right? Just how stories can be fun, and that's why this book is so great, because I mean she talks about the story where where I asked her if she was bipolar, because recruiting, they would speak about her, right, and say she was bipolar, say she was crazy, and obviously Coach P is diagnosed with bipolar, but it was more kind of like anything you can to kind of tear the other person down to
Right.
get to the next game, right? And that's what this business is. At the end of the day, recruiting's a tough business, and college basketball is a tough business, high school basketball is a tough business, and that's what you kind of got to learn. So I'm telling you, like it is cutthroat. That is something that I tell my dad a lot. You just got to kind of have your head on a swivel, and kind of always got to kind of see through people a little bit to kind of see maybe you have an ulterior motive, maybe you don't, and kind of keep that circle around you very tight, trusting. And that's what I think I tell a lot of people who ask us for advice as well. That I think that's another thing for parents is just kind of understand everybody needs something from you in the recruiting process at the end of the day. And it's kind of like what you have to do is use it as a vehicle, right? How is this person going to help me become a better person, but also how is the place they're in going to help me become a better person? Because you have to see the bigger picture in everything, right? Everything at the end of the day is a transactional relationship, and it's very unfortunate, but when you're in college basketball, you see that every single day is these kids struggle with the idea like, yo, you're supposed to be giving me, and then coaches are like, wait a second, you're supposed to be giving me effort, you're supposed to be giving me, right? And I had to tell our kids that the other day. I said, at the end of the day, guys, we're not winning. So right now you're not doing what you're here to be doing. And so now these coaches are looking at administration, and they're looking at them, and the administration is saying you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So everybody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's when you start to see shifts happen and jobs are lost. And so you have to understand everything you do is transactional. Everything you do relates to another person. And so I mean, it's hard for kids to kind of grasp their head around that at 18, right? Or even when they're in high school. But it is something, the quicker you kind of come to terms with when you agree to something, you have to own up to it, right? You have to do it. You have to do it full speed. You have to do it everything, all your effort in it, and commit to it because you signed up for something, right? And that's why when you pick a school, you pick a school. And that's one of my biggest things is listening to you talk about it. I was like, man, we have this conversation with our kids all the time. And like, maybe it's Devin's generation, but they're very different. Like, they're very different kind of kids. And they struggle with thinking like we deserve this and we deserve this. And it's like, no, you got to give to get, right? Don't be a taker in life. Like, nobody wants that type of teammate. Nobody wants that type of coworker at all. So that's what was like triggering my mind when I was listening to you talk. I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my dad always told me, you know, you get what you pay for.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
you can apply that in so many different ways. You know,
Yeah.
so as you can see, like, you know, I'm 40 years old, and my dad's not here, but you know, a lot of things that young women keep close to their heart come from their dads. You know,
Oh yeah.
they're wonderful mothers too, but
Wow.
you know, our dads play a big role in their lives for sure. And I was lucky to have a very supportive father.
No, he's still very present.
Absolutely, that's my
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
You know, we could probably have another hour. We're running out of time. I got about 10 more minutes, but there's a couple things that I know that Faith wanted to talk with you about. We definitely want to talk about Southland, but you shared something with me yesterday that what I felt was something that I wanted to kind of touch on with what has happened over this last year with divisiveness and you know, the great thing about sports that you have an opportunity and you have received and have had a lens on diversity,
Right.
especially playing in sports. And you know, you have an opportunity to create that right type of narrative. And when you have these different kind of parents, but it becomes a challenge, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it becomes a challenge. And I just wanted to. Why don't you share your perspective on it, Amy? I think because I don't know, you have a very diverse program, right?
Well, you know, one thing I've just seen is a lot of pushback towards me personally as a general manager
Mm-hmm.
um, in the Black community, particularly in the basketball arena. And that's not something that I'm used to, I guess. You know, I know that we're supposed to see color, and I know if you say you don't see color, that's ignorant. But say what you want about me. Like, I don't see color. I see people, and I treat everybody the same. And I was taught that. And I will teach my kids that as well. So for me, it's hard to accept, because you're just automatically put in a category with every other person, and every Karen and everything else. And it's, I guess, because I've been on the other side of it, always fighting for fairness. Like, it doesn't matter what, whoever earned it is whoever's going to play. And whoever, these parents are paying the exact same amount as these parents, or whatever the case may be. So it's really hard to be, it's been hard for me. Let me put it that way. Let me not speak for everybody, but it's been very hard for me to be put into this category that I don't accept, and I can't do anything about, really, except for continue to try to treat people with respect, continue to try to ride the wave with this. But I just really, if anybody who's watching this, please know that, like, if you come to Southland, I don't care if you're black, white, purple, or orange, as long as you can act right and be a nice person, we will welcome you with open arms, and we will treat you with the utmost respect. And I think that's how the world should be. I think we're all drinking the Kool-Aid, to be honest with you. And I think there's a lot of real issues that need to be addressed. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. And we don't need to go into all that. But in the same vein, I really think that you have a whole new generation of people. And if you want to use this as a color, that's fine. But that just support other people. We're not drinking the Kool-Aid. We're not into all this divisiveness. Like, we don't want it. And a lot of my kids, they don't want to be a part of it. Any ones that I've sat down and talked to try to give me a better understanding of things, they don't necessarily even want to be a part of it, or support it. So I don't know. I would just say in my industry, that is something that I have really struggled with. And I've never struggled with that. And so I brought this up to your dad yesterday, again, just for maybe some advice and insight, because it's an ongoing thing, and I need it to stop, because it drives me, it eats at me a little bit personally, which I need to let go of. But I think that we all just need to, in my opinion, take a break from the world and realize, like, who are we as people? What do you stand for? How do you want to be treated? How are you treating people? And then let's act that way accordingly and consistently, towards each other. It seems simple to me, and I understand wrongdoings, this, that, and the other thing. Let's work on fixing those. Let's work on fixing those together. Like, why do we have to become divided in order to fix it? I don't understand that. Not everybody thinks the way you think, they think they do. Not every white person anyways. You know what I mean? And that's, like, I think really important for people to say. And people don't want to, like, stand up and say, this is how I feel. I'm not afraid to stand up and say, this is how I feel. I'm really not. I love everybody. I don't care what your color is. I care how you act, what you represent, and how you treat people. If you can do that well, wonderful. You could be orange and be my best friend.
Faith, you have a perspective on that?
Yeah. Yeah. It really, at the end of the day, what helps you sleep at night is if you're doing the right thing. And that's what I told Dad yesterday, is as long as you are doing the right thing, right? And sometimes we don't agree with the right thing, but we still have to do it. And that's something that we have been navigating as coaches. It's a different world right now with a lot of these kids. You're right. A lot of the kids don't have an opinion, right? And they just want to play. And a lot of the kids do have an opinion. And I think that's what's beautiful about this younger generation, is that they're picking and choosing kind of who they want to be. But at the end of the day, I think that they kind of want to be who they are together. And that's what I'm starting noticing. And that's what I told Dad. I said, as long as you are doing the right thing, right, and you're speaking up for the right people, and you're not coming from a place of hate, you're not coming from a place of racism, right, that at the end of the day is all you can do. And that's, at the end of the day, if criticism is going to come, what you look like, yeah, that happens. You know what I mean? Like, Dad, you know what I'm talking about. Like, being Black in society, criticism comes. Being white in society now, criticism is coming, right? And that is kind of what these changes have been happening, right? Having visibility to all of this hatred every single day of the last year on our media is what has kind of come about from that. But the thing is, all you can do, and that's why I told Dad, is all you can do is do the right thing, right? And keep trying to do the right thing every single day. And hopefully it makes an impact on the people around you, right? The impact the society around you so that you can kind of push the envelope, because we can't change the narrative people place on us at all. The narrative that's placed on you is on you, right? But the only person who really knows who you are is you and God, right? And the people you love. And so that's what I mean, that's all I can do, right? That's what I try to do, right? Because there's a narrative placed on us even without race, right? There's a narrative placed on us about what schools we go to, what jobs we hold, what car we drive, right? What school our kids go to. And so as long as you are doing the right thing and you keep continuously doing the right thing, that's all we can do, you know?
Like that.
Yeah.
Well, right out of time. This is a wonderful show. I mean, we appreciate you so much. As you well know, you saw our storyboard. There's probably another half hour of the show that, of course, we can always have you back. Welcome you back. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we did speak about your family. You showed pictures of the family. There's two beautiful young ladies, your husband. And we continue prayers and blessings, and you keep doing a great job out there. Right?
I will, and you guys too. Thank you so much for everything.
No, thank you. Thanks, Annie. Seriously.
Wonderful week. Okay? Much love to you guys both.
Bye.
And thank you again, everyone, for joining us this wonderful Wednesday morning. We'll see you guys on Friday with another really great show with another really good guest, of course, continuing the Making You a Champion series. Thank you again to Amazon Fire, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Apple TV, and, of course, our key platform out of Phoenix, Arizona, E360 TV. Again, this is Faith Family Focus, where we want to use our faith as a vehicle to help heal and sustain others on strengthening family core. Dang, Dad, can you let me finish the finish of it? Go ahead. And our slow go.
Let go, let God, let go, let faith, let go, let love. I just have it up for just so they can see.
Yeah, whatever. You were right. Now we have a wonderful Wednesday. Be safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. We'll see you guys on Friday.